Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Face the Truth. Just got done talking with Kevin. We had a great talk, talked about all kinds of cool things, and he was really generous with his time, and so really want to say thank you to Kevin for that. And we just had a blast, and you know, it's a long episode, so I'm just going to get right into it. You know him from SNL, Weeds, man, tons of different movies. Also Hiking with Kevin, and he's got a new special coming up really soon that you got to check out on September 12th. Please welcome the one and only Kevin Nealon. Awesome, man. Thanks so much for doing this again, Kevin. I really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's cool. It's fun because you know, I've actually, you know, we've been having texting back and forth for a while now, sending each other art and stuff, and so I thought it'd be really cool.
Texting, but also death threats and drive-by.
Death threats.
You know,
there's been a few of those, but you know what? It makes, especially during this time, it makes things a little bit more exciting. You know, it's like. Yeah,
are people sending ransom notes now via text? Are they ransom texts?
Probably. Yeah. I would like. Yeah, they have to have social distance, kidnappings, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, I mean, it's been really cool during this whole quarantine thing, just to see how busy you've been keeping with your drawings and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You've been definitely. You've been cranking them out, I think, faster than me.
But not as good as you. Well, here's the thing, Jason. When I've always loved art, and I've always wanted to draw, but I never seemed to have the time because I was doing stand-up and all TV shows and things. But in the back of my heart and my mind, I knew that's what I really wanted to do, and I've always loved it since I was a kid. So when this quarantine rolled around, it just naturally kind of took over my schedule, and I just loved doing it. And you know what it's like? You could spend forever on one picture. People always ask, how long did that take? How long did that take? And I never time myself, but I think if I had to guess, I'd say maybe a week, maybe 6 hours a day, or whatever. I'm not even sure. But and I've told you this before too, that I just have to stop drawing this picture now. I could make it better, I could make it more perfect, but I've got to go on to something else. And it's always fun to start a new one too.
Yeah. No, I think it's I think therapeutic in a way too, getting, like you said, 6-7 hours, who knows, but you spend your day doing that. And what else did you not, other people are just sitting around watching TV or whatever they're doing, you're pushing yourself and doing something with it,
Yeah.
And you're it's funny. I think I remember, I think it was like in May. Maybe.
By the way, how do you like my film noir lighting here?
I think it looks good. I like the cool lighting on the one side and the warm lighting on the other. It's pretty good.
This is my wife's ring lighter. I'm not really sure where to put it. That's kind of makes me look more like a zombie. Okay, there we go. We'll get this down.
Everyone's got those ring lighting now, and it's funny. You can see it. I don't really see it in your eye.
That's best. Let's do it like this. Hey.
Now you look like a zombie. But I've been noticing that a lot more. Like you can actually see the ring, I can't really quite see the ring in your eyes right now. It's got a nice lighting.
It's got different adjustments too.
Yeah. That's
kind of cool. It's like a portrait right there.
Yeah.
I don't know which one is the best, but we'll just kind of leave it like that.
It looks good.
But that's the thing about being an artist. You really, once I started drawing more, I really started seeing light and shadows more on people.
Yeah, you're gonna start seeing a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially now that not now. I mean, I'm assuming that you've been into caricature for a long time, but once you open up that box, I mean, it can be overwhelming. I mean, I don't know how often. Well, you live in LA, so you don't really have like subways and stuff like that. But I don't think
we have subways, but they're not that efficient.
Oh, okay. But I mean, here in Chicago, like you ride the train, and when we used to be able to ride the train, there's so many people, you just start to kind of get overwhelmed. I used to sit on the subway and just sketch, and that's a little bit tricky too, because sometimes people don't want to be sketched, and you're sitting there trying to be like a little bit, I'm not usually obvious about it. And now, like, if I do it, it's usually like on an iPad or something like that. But every once in a while, I'll have someone say, "Hey, what are you doing? Are you drawing me? What are you doing?" And they'll come up, or someone will like kind of feel suspicious, and they'll sneak around.
Yeah.
And they just look over and they're like, "I knew you were drawing me." It's like, but there's been a few instances, like for me, where I felt a little bit nervous because people were not happy that I was doing it. But usually people think it's cool.
They could pick up on that. They could pick up on that when you're kind of. Yeah. I mean, I used to draw a lot of pictures of people on planes when I was flying. I was a passenger. I'd look over and I'd draw people that were sleeping, and it became kind of like my thing. I draw them on napkins and stuff. And then I started taking pictures of them. It was easier. Take a picture, and then I could just draw them from my phone.
That's way less creepy.
Taking somebody's picture, and some guy saw me doing it. Yeah. As we were all getting off, he goes, "Hey, stop that! Stop that! Stop that!" I was so embarrassed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's. I used to take my daughter, who's 17 now, almost 17. I used to take her to Starbucks, and when she was a little girl, and we just doodle. And she blew my cover one time. I was sitting there just drawing, and she's doing a little watercolor, and I'm drawing this woman. She's got this very nice, pronounced nose, and she's got this great side profile, and I was just letting it go. And my daughter comes around the corner and sits over me, and she goes, "Hey, Dad, I like how you drew that lady's big nose, way bigger." And the lady totally looked. She's like, she's like, "I know I'm the only one with the big nose here." She like looked right away. Nobody else looked, just her.
But it is very therapeutic. You mentioned that, and I remember there was a period of time when I was on Saturday Night Live. I was going through claustrophobia, and it got to the point where I couldn't sit on it. If an airplane stopped on the tarmac and was stuck there for a while, I would start to get real antsy and real sweaty and panicky. And so I always kept a sketch pad with me. And if I drew, it took me completely out of where I was at the time. So I always would put a sketch pad in my backpack and a pen, and I would just doodle and just, draw things. Time goes by quick.
Man, that sounds so you would like you would start to slowly panic a little bit before oops, sorry. Darn it. People calling me right now. But you would start to kind of feel that way. But was it one of those things where you just decided to start drawing when you're on the airplane, or was it something that someone told you should try to do?
No, I just found that helped, because I always had a sketch pad with me. And whenever I started having those feelings of anxiety or panic start working their way into me, I would take my breathing stopped. I would hyperventilate. I would take out the sketch pad and I would start sketching, and I would go into like a twilight zone, Yeah. And I developed a claustrophobia because they had to make it's called the life mask, where they put on Saturday Night Live. I was playing Jay Leno, and they needed to add a chin, so they put plaster all over your face and they cover everything except for your nostrils.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And it gets tight and you can't hear anything and your hands are under plastic, and I passed out in the chair, and they gave me smelling salts. And the last thing I remember was the guys, I said, take it off. He what, take it off? He goes, yeah. I can remember his fingers under there. And then the next thing I remember was the smelling salts. And you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. I don't know what happened. I've never had that before. And he says, I think we might have been able to salvage the mask. He put it in cold water and he showed it to me. It looked like this.
That's great.
So we did it again. And this time I had my hands outside of the plastic, and they turned the radio up loud, and I almost passed out again, but I got through it. But then about 2 weeks later, I stopped on a subway in between stations, and it was all dark, and I had that same feeling come over me again. And it just started to evolve after that and get worse and worse, almost agoraphobic. And I cured it finally by just confronting my fears, going in subways, going through tunnels, in New York, which was really a drag, getting out of the city, because there's traffic and you'd be stuck in the tunnel. And I just kept confronting my fears and going into elevators, and eventually I got through it. And breathing into a brown paper bag.
Wow. So all that from the mask thing, from that. Wow, that's crazy. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's funny. I recently saw you were in that one film, I can't remember what it's called. It's with Adam Sandler, but
just go with it.
Oh, it just will. Yeah, we were talking about that makeup was crazy, but
like 4 hours in the chair to look like I had plastic surgery,
So did that bring back bad memories of that?
Well, I told them, I said, you can't do the life mask thing on me because it took me a long time to get over that. Gosh. So they have a new way of doing it now where it's more of a, I don't know, like a 3D kind of a graphic. They spin you around in the chair and then they mold a cardboard kind of like honeycomb around your face. It's pretty good. It's not as good as the actual plaster, but it's not bad.
Sounds terrible, man.
It was horrible, Jason. It was horrible. And then, Jeff Daniels was hosting once, and he had to play Jay Leno too. And he went into the makeup room. It was Friday, the night before the live show, and he didn't come back from the makeup room. And then the head writer came up and said to me, "Did you hear what happened?" I'm not supposed to say anything, but Jeff Daniels, they can't get the life mask off his face. Stuck on his face.
Oh my gosh.
He had a 5 o'clock growth,
Oh no.
So he had a lot of beard. And what happened was there was the wrong mixture of chemicals and it heated up and it just stuck to everything. And they tried to put plastic straws up his nose and pour water down the mask to free it up, and it just gave him a bloody nose. So it's just blood's coming out onto the white mask. So eventually Lorne Michaels had to call a couple of his plastic surgeon friends and get them out of a party on a Friday night and come to the studio. And they took X-Acto knives. They pulled it away from his face. They took the X-Acto knife and cut his eyebrows off, pulled it down there, and then to his eyelashes, had to cut his eyelashes off.
What?
Got it down to here, and then had to give him Novocaine. Every time they chipped a little off, a little more Novocaine because of his beard. And they got it off. And the next day he comes up to me, he goes, "Did you hear what happened to me?" And he's got no eyebrows and no eyelashes. I felt so bad for him because he could have died, if he threw up. They would have to take a crowbar and knock his teeth out.
Did he not do the Saturday Night Live that week?
He did. Did
they have to draw eyebrows on his face?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. The whole episode, he's like
some artists
surprised the whole time.
Luckily, Lorne knew some artists, and he got them out of a party on Saturday night, and they came down and they painted his eyebrows on.
Jeez, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
and you had that surgery. You said like 11 days ago, something like that. Were you able to draw at the hospital?
That was my big question, whether I'd be able to continue my little drawing streak here. And I couldn't draw at the hospital because I was there for 3 days. But when I came home, it was in a sling. So I was able to get my tablet under my hand and work my body around enough to draw a little bit. But I haven't really done much work since I got back. The fun thing for me, unlike you, where you have, this is a real job for you, where you have deadlines and you have, you have to draw certain things. You can't just say, "Oh, I'd love to draw, I'd love to draw, anyway, I can't even think of somebody's name right now.
Whatever. Joan Rivers.
Yeah, I'd love to draw Joan Rivers right now, just for fun. That'd be fun. She got an interesting face. You can't do that. But I mean, maybe you can because you're fast. But I get to pick, now I have a whole list of different people I might want to draw. Now I just have to think who I want to draw next. Because, you spend a lot of time on it. And you're really, you're really living with that person for that whole week.
Yesterday I was supposed to do a Zoom live. So there's this thing called Lightbox that's coming up, and it.
I've seen you kind of.
Yeah, it's like an online art convention type thing, and I'm doing a demo one day, but then the day after, I'm supposed to join a bunch of other artists. We're all going to be doing live drawing at the same time, and so you're going to see the different screens, and you can just watch several artists at once, I guess. Yesterday was supposed to be a test, and we were supposed to prepare a sketch to work on and everything. And I missed it because I thought they said Pacific time, but they said Eastern time, so I missed it. So hopefully it works out. But I was sitting here yesterday. I got to do what you just said and just pick someone, and I picked Facci. So I started doing a doodle of him, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be fun to draw." And people are because they're gonna think it's so funny, I was getting all excited, and then I'm getting ready to jump on the call, and I'm gonna continue working on it. And what's going on? And it said that it already happened. It's like, whoops. But yeah, that was a nice way to, at least I got to just kind of doodle someone for a little bit,
Yeah. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
And this is I don't know. This is when somebody dies, like when George Floyd died. I remember you sketched him, and it was it was a caricature, right?
Yeah.
Is it kind of risky to do a caricature of somebody after they've died, even though you're honoring them? And I mean,
you know what? That's a good question. I don't really. The way I look at it is this, because besides if someone's died, I've gotten before, me just drawing someone of a different skin color or whatever it could be. People are like, oh, you shouldn't be drawing that guy or something. So I've gotten that before as well. But to me, I am just drawing what I see and what I feel. And there's nothing, I don't have like this, like for example, when George Floyd passed away and he was killed and I did that drawing of him, it was, basically in honor of him. And I don't think when you look at it, you get the feeling of any kind of mockery or anything like that. You could, and I think that would be a little bit of a weird mistake.
Because with George, he had really strong features. He had a large nose and lips, and it's almost like, that was a difficult one, I thought, but I thought you carried it off well. And but it's like Chadwick died.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And his picture's everywhere now, and I think people have already drawn him and stuff. But that's the other thing. When you're about to draw somebody and you see that other people have drawn that person, do you bail out?
Nah, I mean it depends. I mean, like for the Floyd thing, tons of people were drawing him. I just wanted to do it for myself personally because, to be like, I had a lot of feelings about everything, and I thought it was just terrible and tragic, and I just wanted to sort of just in a way honor him and everything else. And so when I did that caricature, my intention was to capture the feeling of what that I got from his face. And so to me, it doesn't matter what his features look like, because you ever see someone, I'm sure you have living in LA, but you ever seen someone who they got a nose job, but it doesn't, even though the nose looks nice, it looks good, it doesn't quite fit right on their face. Even though their nose looks nice now, there's something not right. And that's because we have there's like a code in our face. Like everything is perfect for our face. You change one thing slightly, and it doesn't matter if all of a sudden you've got different lips that look nice. They don't look good on your face. It doesn't look natural. So when someone's face has a certain amount of features that they're more descriptive, like, hey, this guy's got a wider nose or this and that. It's like, yeah, but if he had a different nose, he'd look weird. Like he looks just fine that way. So by caricaturing the person, you're just basically reporting the news accurately. It's not fake news. Okay, highlighting. It's accurate news. Yeah.
Well, it's a lot like, I asked you when I was drawing Chris Rock, I wanted the mouth to be the most exaggerated feature because of that smile. And you said just to make the eyes smaller, and that'll make the mouth bigger.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if a plastic surgeon took that advice, and if the woman wanted the nose smaller. No. We're going to leave the nose. We're going to make the eyes bigger and the cheeks bigger. Hear me out.
Trust me. Yeah. As he's sharpening his blade.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's true. I think that with caricature, this is something that I've thought about for years, but for every action, there's a reaction. Like you can't just exaggerate one, or you shouldn't at least just exaggerate one thing on a person's face, because it won't feel right. If everything's got to work together, and like when I was sketching out the Faccia yesterday, I see this shape where his head's kind of like a wide from the ears. He's got these big ears, and he's got these little small eyes that are close together, and because of that, his nose looks larger. The eyes are smaller and inside. He's got these big, huge kind of sockets. Kind of looks Yoda-ish in a way. And so, but if you don't get all those little aspects correctly together, it's not going to look like the person. I mean, it's not going to look as good as it could. So It's very much like a math equation. I think, like everything's got to be, you know,
balance.
So like, what were you saying before about if everyone's drawing somebody, do you bail out? It depends. Like right now, well, this is a good example. Kruger. I love Kruger's work, but in my opinion, he's a little over excessive when it comes to the Rolling Stones. It's like, I mean, we get it, dude. You like the Rolling Stones, okay? But at the same time, he's done them. He's drawn and painted them so many times in so many different ways, and they're all brilliant and geniusly done. That it's kind of like, do I need to draw Mick Jagger? I don't think so. I don't like. What's the point?
It's funny you're saying that because I like I said, I've been thinking, who can I draw next? And a lot of people are saying you should do Jagger. I know Kruger's done them a ton of times, but then I thought, but what if I did it differently than him, you know? And it's like, and I'm the same way. Like if comics are doing jokes about something that just happened, you know, I stay away from it. You know, or I'll see a lot of comics my age talking about getting older, and I'll just say, I'm going the exact opposite direction from that.
Yeah.
You know? So who wants to hear about that? You know?
Yeah. So you start talking about morning woods and stuff like that, and
yeah, I start talking about high school and things.
Yeah, but it is crazy because Kruger has done that where there is certain people that when I have free time to like just draw someone that I want to draw, if it's someone like that, like Keith Richards or something, I'll be like, eh. So I've only really drawn the Stones when I've had to do it for something, when I've been asked, for an illustration or something. But the other thing is I try not to. We're going to talk about art that we like and that influenced us, but I try not to look at caricature art too much. Or, I mean, I have a lot of friends that are really good, and I like their work, but I'm not a huge fan of caricature art. As far as like letting it influence me, because the way I look at it is the most important thing is strong drawing ability and strong painting ability. And so I find my influences from fine artists basically, and I learn from them how to draw, how to paint, and then I take that into the caricature thing is a different thing. It's like I have come up with my own way of expressing myself and pushing shape and form to capture a likeness. And then, so I'm not really taking things from other caricature artists. My friend Tom Fluharty years ago, close to 20 years ago now, told me, hey, Jace, you need to close your Kruger books. Because I was too influenced by him when I was like 18, 19, 20. And he could see that. And he's like, hey, you're really good, but close the Kruger books, put them away, and you'll start to develop your own thing. I just listened to him, and I think it's really important because there's just, especially someone like him who I think is probably everyone would consider him like the godfather of caricature. There's a lot of amazing artists that came before him that are I would still hold up pretty high, but he is one of those guys that totally influenced, especially guys like me who were trying to draw and paint realistically, but while exaggerating. He was like basically he owned that.
No, definitely good. I remember the first time I saw his book and I saw that spittle on Jagger's tongue, and I thought, this guy is like, he is discovering areas no one's ever like walked on before, how good he was. But I think you do for a while have to study them and be influenced by them, but then also open up other avenues of influence, look at other, like you said, look at other people's works, like my mother-in-law, her handle is the Elvis artist, Betty Harper, and she's like the official Elvis artist. So she draws mostly just Elvis pictures. And I think she's drawn them at every angle. You can follow her on Instagram, cool. The Elvis artist. She's really, really good artist. But lately she's been I've noticed she's been drawing other things like her nieces and nephews and stuff. And but man, she has got him down really good. More portraits, that's awesome. Not caricatures, but portraits.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's I think like for every kind of art, I think that it's good to have your influences, but then be able to take those to someplace else that feels more original, feels like your own.
Well, yeah, it's like stand-up comedy. You start out, you're influenced by somebody, obviously. That's what got you into it. Same with art. And, you're coming in with their style, basically. When you go to the clubs as a young comic, you see a lot of other comics starting out, and they've been influenced, you could tell by, whomever it was, Chappelle these days, or Chris Rock, or Sebastian, whoever it is, and until you find your own style. And you got to keep looking for that style.
Yeah.
Until people could recognize it and say, "Oh yeah, that's a Seiler painting right there."
Yeah. You know what? That's interesting too. I love how these two things like line up so well, and that I've gotten interested in doing comedy, and pretty bummed out, if I'm being honest, that I haven't been able to do it or go out and do it for a while now. And I can't really complain. There's pros out there who that's like how they make a living, and they haven't been able to do it. So I'm just saying, for me personally, I was getting so excited, and
I know you were
just working on it. So I've been just writing, and I could be totally wrong because I am so new at this, but I would never claim to say I have a style yet when it comes to that yet, because I'm so new at it. But I kind of started feeling like the most important thing is, just like in art, having that strong foundation of being able to draw and everything, and be able to take it to any kind of style you want. I kind of feel like as long as I'm writing good material, like this is funny shit, I got a good setup and a good punch, then I just have to figure out, okay, what's the best way for me to deliver this?
You're doodling jokes right now. You haven't polished them yet. It's not a finished work, but you're doodling them, and you're looking at them, and I think that's the really interesting part of our relationship is we both have a passion for what we do, but also we have another passion that we want to explore. And you have a lot of answers for me, and I have a lot of answers for you for your stand-up.
That's pretty cool, man. Yeah.
And I've saved all of our text exchanges, and I think one day it'll be an interesting book, just to kind of share the exchanges.
Yeah, it's funny. So I've sent you like little bits I've come up with, that they're not really going in. It's just like an idea, and I think it's funny, and I'll send it to you, and you're like, oh yeah, that's a good premise, but then I'll like read it to my wife, like, so what do you think about this idea? And then she'll be like, I don't know where you're going with that. And I was like, Kevin thought it was funny.
I know, and I do that all the time to my wife. You gotta have people, other comics or writers to go to with material and run it by them, because they won't come back with I don't get it, or I don't think that's funny. They'll come back with other options, like, and then what if the guy did this or he said that, and you go, oh yeah, that's good. Otherwise, it kind of takes the sale. I know certain people I just don't go to with ideas, because it was like on SNL on Mondays we had to pitch our ideas to the host. We'd all be sitting around Laura Michaels' office, and he'd call on each one of us, and we'd tell the host what our idea was. And so many times I got so let down by telling my idea, and nobody got excited about it.
Oh, yeah.
So I would do it. So I got to a point where I would just pitch the same idea every week. It was a fake idea, just to placate the host, and I would never write it.
Oh my gosh. Well, what did any of them like? It never got to the point where someone's like, yeah, let's do it. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute. I'm not ready.
No, because they got so much stuff flying at them. They couldn't focus on one thing. They were fish out of water, and it was tough. So it was, but yeah, that is kind of like a letdown when you're really excited about something a bit, or it's like my son is great to go to for my artwork, because he's kind of an artist too. He loves to draw, and I'll say, Gabe, well, what do you think about what about this? He goes, I think you got to take the nose down a little bit, or you got to do this, or this is too pointy over here. I say, you're right. You're right. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes a good, like a fresh set of eyes.
And he's 13.
Yeah. And they're really honest.
They are
about things.
Yeah.
I that's just funny because I've been working on this whole idea for a little bit now. Ever since everything that's happened, since the COVID thing and everything, I didn't want to write anything about that because I figured everyone was going to be talking about that one way. And I thought, oh, it's going to be a month or two and then I'm going to be able to do stand up again. So I was preparing. I didn't know it was going to go this long. So things have been stretching. And the more this happens, the more I'm like, I don't want to talk about the elephant in the room exactly, but I want to kind of aim to the right or the left of it. And you still get the feeling, for example, there's so much crap going on the internet that it's like, it's unbelievable how many things people are believing just because they saw a link that someone shared with them or whatever it is, right? So I'm trying to like work on a bit that's talking about dolphins. Like, did you know dolphins rape people?
I heard you talking about that the other day. Yeah,
I read it on the internet.
But that's only in the bad parts of the ocean.
Yeah, it's only those. It's only those.
I used to talk about that. I would say, these dolphins actually rape people, but that's only in the bad part of the ocean. You stay away from that area.
So I'm trying to like to like talk about that, like, but use silly things, Yeah. It's fun. Like it's a fun little bit, and I talk, I bring it to this point of, do you believe in God? You think God created all the animals on the planet? Created dolphins, and they have that fucking smile on their face. Like, You know what I mean? Like, it's a really, but anyways, I was reading these ideas to my 13-year-old daughter. I was like, she was like, what are you working on? And I started I'm like, well, some adult content here. So I was kind of like trying to edit it, how I was saying it. And she's like, Dad, just say it. And so I just read out my ideas, and she was smiling, laughing. And at the end, she's like, yeah, that could be funny.
One sick daughter. There's a sick daughter out there.
But it's just kind of funny because, she especially, she's been excited about me doing the comedy stuff. And ever since I started working on it over a year ago now, like started writing stuff for it, I've been like telling her the bits that I could. And I've even came up with some fun jokes that she's in. Like I have some jokes with her in it. But it's really fun her watching it because you can tell that she thinks it's pretty cool,
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
How much do you think your career will influence your kids? Do you think they'll get into drawing and becoming artists? Because your father is an artist, and you became an artist.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're both, my two oldest are both very creative. And my oldest she loves to draw, and she's pretty good at it. But I don't know, she's kind of figuring out what she wants to do. Like it's weird because I was a strange kid where I was obsessed with it. like she'll say like, she wants to be an artist or do art. And I'm like, I don't think you do. Because I mean, you like it, but I mean, I was just a strange breed where all I did was draw all the time. I didn't even hang out with other kids. It was not very healthy.
And you were drawing birds,
ducks, sharks, deer, everything, just comics. And then, so every one of my kids so far is very creative in certain ways. Like my 13-year-old is, she could be a little actor. She's hilarious, and she likes to make little videos, and she likes to dance. So, and then my almost 3-year-old, she loves painting. Like she loves to paint. She's got a little easel, but I kind of feel like so my wife and I are both artists, and I kind of feel like it's a really good, healthy home to like surround the kids with art. Like just grow up with drawing and painting, poetry, anything that, like even the fact that I'm getting into the comedy stuff is showing them that when you have a passion for something, push yourself, go towards it. Like just, try it, So that's the kind of feeling that I like to put out to the kids, but I also don't want to push. Like I don't want to, like if one of them just wants to all of a sudden play soccer, I'm going to be there, for every game or whatever they want to do. I just feel like supporting whatever they want.
That's pretty unhealthy, isn't it though?
Yeah. I don't know, like maybe not everything they want.
Look at the back of your chair, man. It's all worn out from you working on it so much.
I know.
Jeez, I know what to get you for your birthday.
Yeah, this chair is like really wobbly too.
I remember going to your office or your studio last year, and you have your Wacom. It's a 27-inch or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at you on right now.
Yeah, and it's like clamped onto the side of your desk on an angle that works for you.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, this guy is serious. This guy is, I just have like a small Wacom tablet on my desk, with like maybe that kind of an angle to it, like a 13% angle, and you're like all dialed in. It's on a, it's positioned just right for you, and you get like this close to the screen when you're working on it.
Oh yeah. Well, I can tell you what drives me nuts though. I love drawing on the iPad. Like I'm having a lot of fun lately drawing and painting on it.
Procreate.
But it's awkward because it's like this flat thing, and I have to like lay it flat, and it's almost like drawing on a piece of paper, like a digital piece of paper. I need to build like some kind of something I can put it on, like a little something I'll hold it at an angle, or I've seen artists build things, or it's but that's the thing about the iPad is like either that or I have to like sit down and put some pillows on my lap and just rest it on some pillows and just
How nice is it though when you come down to your studio and you saddle up in that chair and you slide into that tablet and you go, Here I go, man, everything's set up perfectly here for me.
Oh, I love it, man. I was asked recently about the Cintiq. Is it worth it? I'm getting one. And the truth is I used one of those tablets for years. One of those, where you just draw here and you look at your screen. And there's such a disconnect.
Yeah.
It feels more like you're playing some kind of video game in a way.
Yeah.
So nothing beats actually drawing on the surface. It's just once you start doing that, I don't know how you could turn back.
I know it. I know it. You recommended the Mobile Pro Studio.
Yeah.
The Wacom, and I got that. And I don't really use it that much because, I guess I need to hook up a keypad to it to get it to work like my other one. And but I mean, I'm going to start exploring it more so I can take it with me when I go back out on the road again. But it's so I've been using just the regular one hooked up to my laptop. The Wacom 16.
Is that the companion? Is that what you have?
I don't know what it's called. It's just a Cintiq.
Oh,
okay. It plugs into my laptop.
Oh, okay.
And I draw on the actual Wacom.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, whatever, works. I think I did have the one, I think it's called the Companion. I have that somewhere as a backup somewhere, but anyways, I wanted to talk about something, but
okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to mention something I watched yesterday. During this quarantine, you just kind of go through Netflix and you get so bored, you're just looking for titles that grab you. And I started watching a movie yesterday called The Painter and the Thief. Did you ever see it?
Mm-mm.
It's a Norwegian film. It was in some Norwegian film festival. And it's about a woman, a painter, who has an exhibit in Oslo. And her two best paintings are stolen in plain sight.
Oh, my gosh.
The criminals came in and they undid all the nails in the back and they took the canvas, rolled them up, and they had them on video. That's how they caught them, the surveillance cameras. And they caught one of the guys, and she was so intrigued with him, like why he would want her. They were worth like less than 20,000 euros total together.
Oh, okay.
And turns out he's a lifelong criminal. He's covered with tattoos. The guys with tattoos are always criminals. And in and out of prison. And he just said he loved the paintings. And he doesn't remember what he did with them or where they are. That whole month was a blur to him. But she became so intrigued with him, she asked him if she could paint his portrait. And he would come to his studio. So he starts coming to her studio and she starts painting him and asking him questions about his life, and you find out about him. And all of a sudden, the first time he sees the picture of himself painted on the canvas, he starts crying because no one's ever painted him before. And to see himself on, and it's about the relationship that they form. And I haven't finished watching it, but I think there's become a really strong bond between the two of them. Yeah. But he's really screwed up, so I don't expect him to be around much longer.
It sounds like a good movie, though. That's awesome.
I mean, I think it's, I find things like that interesting because, instead of all the mainstream stuff.
Yeah. I just saw a movie the other night that I never heard of before, but it was great. It was called the Peanut Butter Falcon.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Somebody recommended that too. Is it good?
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. I was not expecting the kind of, I just, what's
Is
this?
it smooth or chunky?
I think chunky.
Oh, that's the good one. Yeah, that's the sequel.
Yeah, my daughter Ava comes in while I'm watching. She goes, "Oh, Dad, you're watching this?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "You're gonna cry."
Oh, really?
It's a good movie, but it's definitely one of those movies that it's a little bit of a tearjerker. But I was gonna ask you before we talk about the art stuff. So because of all this stuff that's been going on, and you've had a lot of time.
Really bad year.
Yeah, it's been one of the worst.
I mean, you had a baby, so it was kind of good for you.
Yeah, at least that was a distraction for sure, and it definitely helps with all the stuff going on. But you've kept yourself busy doing drawings and everything. But you did go out and do stand up, and I wanted to ask you about that because you did it to a bunch of people sitting in cars, right? Like, how did that work?
Well, I'm friends with Brad Paisley, the country singer.
Yeah.
And we flew to Nashville because he had some gigs there, and he lives there too. But he was doing these parking lot little concert tour, like 3 in a row. A couple in one in Oklahoma, one in Missouri, and one in Tennessee. And the one in Tennessee was in Nashville. It was at the Nissan Arena in the parking lot, and that fits about 700 cars. So it was really interesting. And he has asked me if I'd go out there and introduce him and stuff, and open and do like 10 minutes, So I said, sure, that'd be an interesting experience. So, everybody's got the face masks, and everybody's really careful. We had to be COVID tested. And you go out there, and they park the cars like a checkerboard pattern, so there's an empty space in between each car and in the front. So there's a little courtyard between all the 4 cars. And each person inhabits that square with their lawn chairs and stuff. And it was kind of fun. I mean, it's not the ideal situation for stand-up comedy because they're all spread out and they're in the cars, and nobody was beeping their horns, which is your immediate thing as a comic thing. Oh, they're gonna start, heckling me with the horns and stuff.
Yes. That's what I was wondering.
But it was really great. It was really a fun experience, and hopefully I won't have to do that again, though.
Yeah, you haven't been heckled unless you've been heckled by a Tesla.
That's right.
Things like dancing and stuff.
Silent heckle.
Yeah. Ugh. That's crazy.
Yeah, but they're popping up more and more now. People are doing that now in parking lots, smaller parking lots for comics. Yeah. And, it just seems like I don't know. Sometimes they have the IMAX screens too. It's like, well, why not just stay home and watch comedy?
It is weird. Like I think I saw Bert Kreischer is doing like a whole tour like that, where he's just like parking lot comedy or whatever it's called.
Yeah, driving. But I think he's also doing comedy clubs too.
Are you familiar with Mark Norman?
No.
I love he's a younger comic from New York, and he's been doing like everything he can to continue doing comedy, and he's been really creative about it. But you can see how frustrated he is. But he did a series recently called Park Normand, where he was doing sets in Central Park, where everyone's social distancing, and it's during the day, and he's got no mic, and he's just trying to do his bits, and people, it's just at one point he goes, "I'm literally hearing crickets."
I've seen a lot of people like that. Like Melissa Villaseñor is doing it from like a baseball field with just her family watching in the bleachers. It's just. But I mean, that kind of leads us into what I'm doing September 12th.
Yes. Yeah.
I haven't done stand-up since March when I worked in Tacoma. And I will say that I don't need it as much as some of these people where they're doing these outdoor things. I kind of like the break. I kind of like not, it makes me realize how much I was gone from my family.
Yeah.
And how quickly time passes. So it's kind of nice, like tucking my son in every night and telling stories and hanging out. But
that's cool.
But I haven't done stand-up. But like you, I've been accumulating areas and possible bits to do, and they approached me with this idea, a live streamed comedy show, which I saw Maria Bamford do for the same company. It's for rushtix.com, RUSHTIX.com. And it'll be right from where I'm sitting right now. I'll probably have a virtual background, and they send me all the equipment, the lighting stuff, and the mic, and I have a stand-up desk too. So maybe I'll do it from the stand-up desk, and actually stand up. I'll have a stool and a glass of water. But I'm really excited about it because I do have a lot of material that I haven't tried out yet. And also I have a lot of material from before that I was doing that I was getting ready to do a special for, which I'll probably do. And then it's going to be co-hosted by Brad Paisley. My friend Brad is going to be my opener. So actually we're reversing things now, you know. Only I'm not making him go to a drive-in. He's doing it from his home.
Yeah.
So he's gonna do a couple of riffs in the beginning, you know, and then he'll kind of stay with me. I'll refer to him once in a while. He'll take me in and out of commercial break, although there's no commercials. I like to take a break once in a while. Yeah. He'll riff me out, you know, and we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. You know, and then at the end, we'll do this like kind of after party. Where we just sit around, we answer questions. People text them in, they answer questions, and have a ccocktail and some potato chips. And so that's September 12th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
That's awesome. So how does that? So for you as someone who is going to be introducing some new bits, new material, are you? Because I'm sure you've got your stuff that you feel comfortable with that you've been doing. Is there going to be like a section of your stand-up where you're just going to do it, or are you going to just kind of try a little piece here, try a little piece there, and kind of?
I'm just going to weave it in, and and also I'll kind of improvise along the way too. It's just I'm taking. Yeah. I mean, I'm so rested as far as comedy is concerned. I'm really, I'm not out of shape with it. I've been thinking about comedy. I've been doing it for so long. It's not like I just started 5 years ago and then I just took a 6-month break. It's kind of inbred in me. So I kind of know, and I'm also, I'm communicating with other people during the quarantine. We have these, social distancing things. So I'm still talking to people and seeing people and trying things out. But it's, I'm excited about it because even though I think there's a way to see some of the people, you can hear the laughs, which is good. Yeah. But I also don't feel a lot of pressure with it either, because I feel like, like I said, I've been doing it over 40 years. So I kind of know what works and what's funny for me and what I like. And I'm just, I'm also thinking of it as a workshop because there's so many areas you could do. Like I'm going to talk about the home that my ancestors are from in Ireland, and how we went to visit there a couple of years ago and we found the home. And it's just a dilapidated pile of rocks now. And I brought back a few of the rocks, and my plan is to, visit frequently and keep bringing more and more rocks back until I could actually rebuild the house here in the United States.
Bit by bit.
So it's just kind of like areas like that. It's more like painting a picture than an actual joke, maybe. It's setting a mood. Yeah. And it's just kind of sharing your personality with people. And I think it'll be a really nice, hour of stand-up. And then the after party afterwards be fun. And Brad always brings a lot to it,
That's going to be awesome. That's gonna be really
excited about that.
September 12th?
September 12th. That's a Saturday at 7 p.m. And people can get their tickets are cheap. I think they're $10 now on rushtix.com. But once we announce Brad is going to be on, they're going to go up to $15. And then there's also like a $50 VIP ticket, I think, where you get to stay in my house for like a year.
Wow. But you have to like be you have to clean up the garage and yeah. That's awesome.
And I'm not just doing this gig at my house. I'm workshopping around a lot of other people's houses first. Like I've been on tour for the last year. I just people don't know. I just go into their house and I do an album set.
That's the new stand-up now. You just go you just do it to like coming to your living room for real. It's like
I'll be at Jason Seiler's house next week performing an hour stand-up.
That would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. One thing I thought it'd be fun to do is to talk about our art together a little bit. And I wanted to share you with some of the art that inspired me. And I think you'll be able to see when you see it a lot of like where I get my kind of feeling or what I think you'll be able to tell. So this is someone that was an influence. She was your mother's friend?
She was my mother's best friend. They lived across the street from us when we were kids in Connecticut. Bridgeport, Connecticut. Her name is Peggy Stusek. She's like the first artist I ever knew. And that's where I learned about deadlines, because I remember she was always rushing to make deadlines.
Yeah.
And she was just I was so impressed with her artwork. She would sit out, in plein air and paint like the Bridgeport train station or homes or whatever. And that was her living. That was her. She was an illustrator and an artist, and she's still alive. She's 95.
Wow.
And I asked her daughter the other day, I said, do you have any pictures of your mom's drawings? That was her grandmother right there. And, she just really was fascinating, because I knew no other artists back then. I was only 6 years old or whatever. And I remember smelling the oil paints in her house, when we come over and visit.
Oh, yeah, that's the best.
Yeah, and she always had jobs where she had to do an illustration for like a magazine or a newspaper or something. And I thought, wow, that's an artist lifestyle right there.
Yeah. And that always reminds me of when I was a kid, when that smell of the oil painting.
Yeah.
I think that's why for me, when I actually do my oil painting, it's more of it's like my own personal thing where I don't want to rush, a
lot of nostalgia there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is obviously an influence on you and me, but I picked out some Kruger pieces because you had mentioned Kruger was one of your influences.
Yeah.
And yeah, I haven't looked at his caricature work in a while, but the one thing I always loved about his work, first of all, he's painting them in acrylics, which is a very difficult medium to control. So that's pretty amazing. He's got this awesome technique. But one thing I really love, besides his exaggeration and his strong likeness, is I always loved how he painted hair. That was a big influence on me. I just looking at the little reflections, and just the little loose hairs and things like that. That was always huge.
Yeah.
Like this one here.
I love
this is just an awesome painting.
Can you go back to the Jack Nicholson for a second?
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen him that exaggerated before, because it's mostly all forehead,
Yeah.
And then the teeth. But I'm wondering if there's a point where you can go too far.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's almost like, where you wouldn't recognize him, but it's still Jack Nicholson. Like, that's Jack because of his forehead and that smile and the eyebrows.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, you wouldn't be able to pick him out of a police lineup, probably.
Well, you know what? I mean, like, some people will think this is blasphemy, but I think this is a great Jack Nicholson. But I've always had an issue with one part of this piece, is I feel like the mouth is too close to the nose. Jack's got this great smile, and it's iconic. But I don't see it when he smiles that his nose is like almost being suffocated by his lip. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I've always felt like I want to pull that just down a little bit.
Why don't you go ahead and do that?
Yeah, I'll do a Photoshop job.
But it's also harder.
Blasphemy.
It's also when it's I think, the best depiction of somebody, I think, is a 3/4 view, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the straight on, I think, is a little harder to do, but I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I think I really love it. It's just, but it's like I said, I think if you went any further, you wouldn't really recognize him.
Yeah. I mean, he has though. He's done it. I love this one of Goldie Hawn.
Yeah, that's great.
This is like such an awesome sketch.
And is that just pencil on paper?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I love this. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. That's a pretty awesome caricature.
Yeah, I love the lips and the teeth.
It's so good that it looks, you almost, it's exaggerated a lot, but it's almost like a portrait.
The hair is great. You're right. He's so good with the hair. That's a study in itself, the hair. You can spend years learning how to draw hair.
Oh, for sure. Let's see here. And then, here's another great one that he did.
Oh, that's great, man.
Yeah, I love this. It's just so beautiful. See, it's a caricature, but it's also a piece of fine art, It's just
the colors, I just like the kind of rust colors in it,
Yeah.
And then the blue popping out of all of that orange and, rust.
Yeah, it's brilliant. This was a favorite of mine for you. Like, this really influenced me a lot. When I was like, as soon as I saw this, Just even the structure in
Is that Kruger?
Yeah, yep. The structure in his face, his head. Like I learned so much when I saw that piece, just about anatomy and how you can push it, and just because it's pushed very, it's really exaggerated, but it still looks 100% like him, and that's the kind of caricature that I'm drawn to. Also, if you can see this piece up close, there's the texture that he got in this piece. The skin almost looks like cement. It's pretty
That's
cool.
another thing, Jason. You're really good at that too. Is the texture of skin? I think that's really hard to get, and maybe there's a kind of a stipple paintbrush or something that you like to use, like the little imperfections in skin, the little bumps, and the light hitting it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you do each one by hand, or is there a brush that you use that'll kind of make it?
It's a combination of both. But mostly when I'm trying to get textures, it's by hand. I just kind of paint and draw it in there.
You just zoom in and you just draw.
Yeah. It depends on like if it's a close like when I did when I did the cover for Mad Magazine a year ago. It's an extreme close up of Alfred E. Newman, and he's filling the whole page, and so I knew that I'm gonna have to put pores in there.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's so close. So I hand painted all those pores in there, but sometimes I just suggest with just little markings and that sort of thing, and there's a lot. Like here's that one piece that you're talking about with the spittle. Yeah,
that's great.
And another thing I learned about Kruger is, when you look at this, it looks very realistic, like the rendering and the painting. The hair, the tongue, but if you actually look closely at it, it's very painterly, and it's more suggestive. But he has a way of suggesting things with the right values and color that actually make it feel super realistic, if that makes sense.
No, it does, because I remember watching your tutorial on Kanye West the other day, and how you said you kind of like painting from away a little bit, not getting too zoomed in.
Yeah.
Because you really want to give that overall feel for it, and suggestions.
Yeah, it's really nice. Like in this piece, like how the hand is like out of focus.
I love the out of focus thing, and also as the hair goes back further, it's also kind of out of focus in a lot of drawings. I don't know if it's this one so much, but it's kind of blurred a little bit, and that gives it that distant kind of look.
Yeah, like this.
Oh, that's great.
This is another one that I just really loved. Just the structure. Kruger's really good at that structure.
I'm kind of like focused on background now. Like I'm always thinking, when I'm drawing a face or somebody, what would be the best background that would really make it pop or really kind of add to the picture? And that's what I'm struggling with right now.
Yeah, that's a very important bit of caricature, because it not just caricature but painting in general is you always want to feel like the background is complementing the character. It can be really hard. I think that's a really important thing to be focused on, actually. This was an artist that you sent me that I never really heard of before.
It's funny you never heard of him, because I was a huge fan of his growing up. He was a comic, Martin Mull.
Oh, okay.
And he had a show called Fernwood Tonight. It was a talk show, and Fred Willard was his sidekick. It was a pseudo talk show, it was a tongue-in-cheek. And he's become such an artist in demand right now. He does these kind of collage type, kind of 50s feel, and I haven't seen some of these pieces before, but he's really, like Steve Martin has a lot of his works, he collects art, and he's really kind of made a name for himself as an artist.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never heard of him before, but the art it is really cool. It's very it's very interesting.
Yeah.
You also sent me you sent me Leonardo, which of course I picked this classic. And then, the funny thing about Leonardo is I'm more of a fan of his drawings.
Yeah.
And obviously he's known as a genius, of course. He's one of those artists that never really it never caught me in an inspirational type way. And then I saw I was annoyed when I went to Paris because the painting is so small and it's just a million people with selfie sticks everywhere so I was like, I was just annoyed with the whole experience of it. But what's cool is, like, if you go 5 feet over into the hallway, there's all these other Leonardo da Vinci paintings, like, right there that nobody cares about. And so you can like walk right up to them and look at them. And
I was going to say, one of the worst places for an artist to have his painting is, 5 feet away from the Mona Lisa, because no one's going to look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
And we purposely looked at those paintings because of that very reason. We thought, well, this painting right here is getting no attention at all. Yeah. And it's an amazing painting. But I said Leonardo da Vinci because I've been reading the book by Walter Isaacson on him for the past, 4 months. Mm-hmm. And I'm taking that long because I'm savoring each page and I'm really trying to understand what it was like back then. And also to kind of relish in what he was doing and experimenting with and discovering, everything from, fumato, the blend, the smoky look, and blending and shading. I don't know if he developed all that style, but
no, he was a genius for sure.
Yeah, and not just the linear, the lines. He blended everything, was blended, and everything got blurred in the distance. And he gave perspective to things. So that's why, I listed him as one of my influences because he's such a a trailblazer in so many ways. But
don't get me wrong, I'm not. I was joking about. I do think it's funny to say, oh yeah, that guy was a hack.
Yeah, I know.
He's like obviously, like one of the most influencing artists of all time.
But the Mona Lisa, it is one of the most famous paintings in the world. But if you ask me, would I rather have the Mona Lisa hanging in my living room, or like a Georgia O'Keeffe? I might have to go with Georgia O'Keeffe, just for, entertainment by myself alone, But if I want to impress somebody, I would have the Mona Lisa. Yeah, no, that's the original Mona Lisa right there. Yeah. Yeah.
Another artist you said you were influenced by was Monet, which I'm not sure how much I love Monet. But I'm not sure how much or not about his caricature.
Yeah, I do know about that. Yeah, he started off doing caricatures, and I studied a lot on the Impressionists like Seurat and Monet and and how they worked with colors and light, especially light, and you could see it with the haystacks, with the sun, and this was all so new to me. I didn't know really anything about colors or painting at the time, and I still don't know that much about it. I'm always learning every day, as you know. And I've just found it fascinating, that, and I was also so impressed that he was a caricature artist too, originally, you know. And
it's really cool. I feel like when I look at this, and after I've studied some stuff about him, to me, what we're looking at here is a caricature. And,
exactly, Impressionism is caricatures. Really.
I think that if it wasn't for caricature, that maybe Impressionism wouldn't be what we know of it as today. Like, he actually. Years ago, I wrote a paper about how caricature basically influenced Impressionism. And if you think about it, caricature is also a form of Impressionism. It's your impression of somebody.
Yeah.
But
I like what you said too. About suggestion, how artists sometimes will suggest something like Kruger. And I love those paintings where you're standing way far away and they look amazing. And then as you get closer and closer, you can't really even identify what it is, Yeah.
No, for sure. Like, this is just a bunch of just brushwork. It's just blah, 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 blah. And then you step back and it's just amazing.
Yeah, and it's just so, and he was out there working quickly and probably had about 5 or 6 different canvases with him to capture the light at different times. There was an artist in a gallery in Malibu that I loved, and her name was Kathleen something. I can't remember her last name, but I asked the person who worked at the gallery, I said, do you think she'd ever let me watch her paint? Because I know she's local. She goes, oh, yeah, I'll ask her. And she said for me to bring my easel and canvas with her at 5:30 in the morning down by the rocks, and she's going to paint the sunrise. And I thought, oh, geez, I don't know if I want to do that, but I ended up doing that. But she had like 5 or 6 different canvases, and she was just like whipping through it and getting the different, times of the light because it changed.
Oh, wow,
so
that's
quickly.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
But I love the way the light reflects on the actual field just past the haystack.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love his paintings. I from what I remember, this fine artist insulted him because he was doing a lot of caricature and had like little galleries with his caricature work, and the artist told him that it wasn't art, that he wasn't a real artist, and if you want to be an artist, you have to paint landscapes. And so Monet said, okay, and he just started painting landscapes. He'd go out with this other artist, and his name starts with a B. I can't remember what his name is, but and then he just started doing this, and to me, it's like he's exaggerating the color, he's exaggerating the light, and it's just amazing. Like, like even this painting here, it's like blobs of paint, but it all pulls together in such a beautiful way.
Yeah, and he would like to hear that from you. This is like blobs of paint, what you've done here.
Yeah. But that's all it is, though. It's just amazing to me. It's like, oh, it blows my mind.
The other night I was standing somewhere and there was a street lamp across, the street, and my eyes were relaxed or something, or I was squinting them, and around the light of the actual street lamp, the rays of light, as I squinted my eyes, it looked just like a Van Gogh painting, the way he paints. And I thought maybe that's what he was doing when he kind of came up with his, style, like Starry Night. And I thought, it's fascinating how people come up with their style.
Oh, yeah. I wish I would have gotten that when I didn't. But yeah, no, I think exactly. I think that's what it is a lot of it is squinting your eyes and trying to when you squint your eyes and kind of blur things out of focus, you kind of get the main form, the main, you kind of push the details aside, which I always try to tell people, don't worry about the details until the very end, Yeah.
And the thing for me too is I try too hard to be perfect instead of just letting go. And that's when you find your style, when you let go. Yeah. And you don't try to be perfect and have every little correct line in there.
Yeah. No, I think that's true too. And one thing I like about Van Gogh's work is that he definitely is like the epitome of letting it go. Like if you looked at his earlier stuff, he was trying to be way more realistic and he was tight. But then when he kind of just loosened up, his paintings just have so much energy. And
just the same for Picasso. If you see some of his early works, he's a great painter. But then he found this, style that he just, of course.
Yeah, so awesome, man. I wanted to show a couple of these really quick too. These are some pieces that you've sent me, but this one blew my mind. I just thought when you sent me this one, I was watching something with my wife and I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. Look at the design, the way that you exaggerated the form in this. And I know that you're working from a reference photo of her and everything else, but you still have to make the decisions of where to exaggerate, how to exaggerate, and this just turned out really, really well. It's a strong, I just love the shapes. I love the proportions.
Thank you. Yeah, she had a long neck to begin with, so that was an obvious exaggeration.
Yeah.
And then and her eyes seem to be almost like lizard-like, her face.
Yeah.
I actually looked at some references of lizard faces.
Yeah.
To see if I could kind of work that in somehow, but I didn't.
Oh, maybe she's a lizard person.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's got such a great look to it. It almost feels like a sculpture, Yeah. It's cool.
I had fun doing it, and the background for that was easy. It just made it pop,
Yeah. No, that's really nice. I mean, this is like a really cool, that's what I love about the possibilities with caricature art is yes, this is exaggerated. It's a caricature, but the way that you did this piece, it's a piece of fine art. That's what it looks like to me. It's not just a caricature. It's fine art. It's really cool.
Thanks.
And this was that Chris you're talking about. This was, I I thought you just nailed. I mean, I can hear when I look at this one, I can hear him. That's one of the best things I think when you look at the caricature and it's like, it's 100%. Like you nailed it.
Yeah, thanks. And and also, as I was doing it, I talked to you a few times because I was kind of curious about. I wanted to go more with angles on this one, like his cheek.
Yeah.
I even had it more exaggerated than what it turned out to be, and also the back of his head. In the reference picture, it was round.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to kind of combine the cheek and the back of the head, and then the shoulder, his left shoulder, with his right jawbone.
Yeah.
Try to get all the angles going in kind of the same kind of ways,
You're starting to push your brain into seeing these shapes, and like you're starting to like see these planes and how you can take them and push them. That's like a real once you start, like that's what I was trying to say earlier about caricature is once you start opening that box, you start to see things that way, like these angles and where other people might not quite see it. You're gonna like. Have you tried drawing like caricatures of animals or anything? Because that's a real. You'll start. I think you're gonna have a blast when you start jumping into that. Like,
I've seen people do those. And I'm really impressed by that. And also I've seen people do caricatures of cars and homes.
Oh yeah,
houses and stuff.
Yeah, it's a really fun way to like exercise your mind that way. Mm-hmm. But like that's what you were doing in this one. You're starting to see these planes and like, oh, I could really push those, just like how you're like, it's almost like poetry where you're talking about like the cheeks lining up with the back of the head. Like it all lines up. Like I said before, for every action there's a reaction. If you're going to push this, you got to push this other thing to balance it.
Right.
And I think that you did it like so well with this one.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I had fun. It's kind of fun sketching somebody that you also know.
Did you send it to him?
No. No.
Oh man.
I'm always kind of embarrassed because I don't know how people are going to take it,
Oh, okay. Oh, I think he
but
would.
Sandler liked it. He saw it and he liked it.
Oh, that's cool. You got to do one of him, Mr. Peanut Head.
Yeah, he would be good to do.
I think I've done one or two of Adam before. He's got a great face to draw. Really fun.
Conan was over the house the other day, and I was trying to find that picture you did of him. The one you said you don't think he liked it.
Oh, you should have texted me. I would have sent it to you.
Oh, no, I have it. It's in the book that you gave me.
Oh, okay.
And I know where it is now. So the next time he comes over, I'm going to show it to him. Let's see if he remembers it. Because I think it's great.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that, to see if that's true or not. Mm-hmm. When you talk to him about it, just tell him.
I'm going to tell him I did it.
Yeah.
See if he likes it.
Well, it was the drummer from the Raconteurs that told me.
Okay.
He's the one that sent me the message. So this was the other one that you did that was pretty awesome. That you were like really pushing with like the anatomy and the expression. Everything was really cool.
Thanks. That one took me a long time because I was using a lot of different reference pictures. I wanted something where you could see his vocal cords just screaming, and his throat on fire and scrunched down. That was kind of like the epitome of his performance there, was kneeling down and squatting and, really just because when he was on SNL as the guest, musical guest, I remember sitting and watching them play. And he had spit flying out of his mouth so much, like big globs of saliva. And he would actually spit. He would spit, to get it out.
Oh my gosh.
Onto the floor.
And he actually did respond to you about this one.
He did like this one. He loved it. And
that's pretty awesome.
And then I think my friend who knows him also showed him the one I did a rock, and he just thought, he thinks I'm amazing, but he's a musician. He's not an artist, so he doesn't have the same perception as you have, or some of the other artists out there.
Well, I think you're kicking butt though.
Because I know sometimes before I was drawing a lot, I would just doodle. I draw something, and people get so blown away. They think, "Wow, you did that? Wow, look at this, and it's just like kind of a scribble thing,
I think it's fun to be able to show. people that aren't maybe used to, or maybe like people that don't know that you can draw something, and then all of a sudden you show them something and it just blows their mind.
Yeah, it's like a
magical. Yeah.
It's like magical.
Oh, so I wanted to show you a couple of my influences, and you said Leonardo Da Vinci, and so I had to pull out the Michelangelo card. Have you seen the Michelangelo in person?
Yeah, Statue of David, right?
Yeah. Or the David. I'm sorry.
You hated it, right? You thought it was all wrong.
Yeah. So my wife and I went to Italy, and it was so awesome going around and seeing the art and everything. And she was like, "Oh, we got to go see the David." And to be honest, I wasn't like, I thought it was like going to be a touristy thing and all this. And I was like, "Oh, it's just gonna, it's just a statue, whatever." And I've seen it so much, but then I was like, "Oh, I better go check it out." And it was crazy because like when I saw it in person, I actually got emotional. Like I couldn't believe. I don't even know how to explain it. Like
you couldn't believe that your penis was bigger than his. That's where guys feel really good. Hey, my penis is bigger than the Statue of David. All right, that's a good piece of work. Yeah, I feel pretty good.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it brought a tear to my eye. But like it's interesting when you see photos of it. It's pretty awesome. But when you see it in person, it's really crazy impressive. But
it is. But I wonder, when they sculpt that with the model, they didn't have gyms back then. People weren't lifting weights, right? They weren't like sculpting their body. So I wonder why this guy got so in shape.
To be honest, I don't even think he had a model.
Really?
Yeah. The crazy thing about this, the thing that blew my mind when I saw this and I started really getting into Michelangelo and reading about him more, was that he was only 26 years old when he did this.
Oh, geez.
It's insane. 26 years old. And that right there was like, whoa, this is blowing my mind. So I started, doing a lot more reading about him and learning more about his art. And he's just incredible. And then the more I read about him, I started realizing, of course, he's famous for his sculptures that are all over the place, but he also designed churches and he designed cities. And of course, he's famous for the Sistine Chapel. But the cool thing about the Sistine Chapel is he wasn't a painter. He actually didn't want to do it. The Pope made him do it, forced him to do it. And he wanted Raphael to do it. He suggested Raphael. Raphael was known not only as the angry Ninja Turtle, but he was like the best painter out there. But the Pope actually wanted to make an example out of Michelangelo because he was getting so much praise, and they were calling him like a living god. And there's a lot more to it than that. But the Pope didn't like Michelangelo and thought that if he forced him to do this thing, the chapel, he's going to fail at it. He's not going to be able to do it.
Oh.
And he wanted to kind of bring him down to human status. And then look at what he did.
He is a god.
Yeah. So to me, it's just like the Michelangelo is just like quite an amazing artist.
Oh my God. Yeah. And then laying on his back on scaffolding for all that time.
Yep. It was pretty crazy. So he's definitely an influence, but my main influence was this guy, Rockwell.
Yeah.
He's always been an artist that every time I look at his work, it just makes me want to draw and paint. Just his compositions, the character, like if in this one here, if you look at the character and her little legs and how her feet are bent in, and like the expression, and just it's so amazing. And I always wanted to be an illustrator that captured things in a realistic way.
Also, look at the reflection on the bench. You could see how it's glossy.
Oh yeah.
So the reflection of the wall off of it. That's so cool.
Oh yeah. He's just amazing. And what's really cool, excuse me, I've only gotten to see a couple pieces of his in person, and it really blows my mind how from a distance like this, it's like, wow, this is really amazing. But when you get up close, it looks so simple.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds weird to say that, but when you see one of his paintings up close, it's like you can almost count the brush work.
Yeah.
So he's definitely a huge influence. Just the character and like he really.
Yeah, that's so great.
Yeah, he just. I mean, it's just.
The colors are just popping, you know.
Oh yeah. He was great at the expression and push, and he kind of exaggerated the bodies a little bit, and he was amazing.
I mean, look at that woman; looks like one of the rag dolls on the shelves.
Yeah, it's just great. Yeah, really smart ideas, and he did so many paintings. It's crazy how many paintings he did.
One of the guys that we both haven't mentioned, but I know have been a big influence is Mort Drucker. From magazine.
Yeah, he was definitely a huge influence. When I was a kid, for sure.
I love those Mad Magazine cartoons.
Oh yeah. This was a guy that I was gonna try to share with you that maybe this would help you with trying out this technique with painting. And I was gonna send you some stuff on this. But this is Anders Zorn, and he's one of my favorite painters, and he really influenced my painting and my use of color. He's known for only like using a very limited palette. They call it the Zorn palette, and it's basically vermilion, like a red, and yellow ochre, black, and white. That's basically that's it. And so from that limited palette, he was able to do a painting like this.
I just wrote that down. The Zorn.
Zorn, Z-O-R-N.
Yeah.
So he would do these paintings with that limited palette, and it's a great painting. It's a great palette for painting flesh.
It's great.
But and this is something interesting. Is like you think you're seeing certain like for example, like if you want like a violet color, you mix black with white and add a little bit of the red, and you'll get like a violet. And to get like an orange, you're gonna mix the red with the yellow ochre and a little bit of white. And but you're gonna get like this orange. But everything's going to have like a harmony to it, and it's all going to have like a certain mood to it. And so it's a really interesting palette.
Yeah, I love that.
And so I basically use it a lot when I paint the Zorn palette.
Yeah.
Even digitally, I've done a lot of paintings that way. So I thought you'd find that interesting. I don't want to keep going too much on this, but I wanted to show you one more. This is I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy before, but James Jean is an illustrator who I just love so much because his work is so diverse. He can do almost anything, but he does like amazing digital work to oil painting, to stuff like this that's more cartoony.
Yeah.
And then these beautiful, gorgeous paintings.
Wow.
And he's just. It blows me away. Like if you look up his art, James Jean, he just has like this is an oil painting.
Wow.
And it's just gorgeous. It's just like it's like mixing like modern type pop art with masterful fine art painting. It's but he'll do something like that, and then he'll do something. Well, he used to do all these comic covers for years that were just beautiful. Called Fables. Just beautiful paintings, but then he'll do like crazy stuff like this.
Yeah.
And he's one of my favorite artists. He did this work for that movie Mother. He's just a brilliant artist. I thought I would share him with you because I think you can go on a really deep dive. He's got so much art. He also like I have a couple of his sketchbooks. Like he puts out his work and his sketches, and his sketches are just insane. They're just absolutely insane.
Isn't that amazing? Some people are so talented.
Oh yeah. Let's see here. So yeah, like there's so much. I was trying to think of like, like what art could I share with I just wanted to share the main ones that I think really influenced my painting. But there's so many artists out there. That even like on Instagram, you go on Instagram, there's just so many artists that I meet new ones every day. That just wow, I love the way this guy does these really thin backgrounds, and then he does this, and then you know what I mean. There's just it's almost like we're in a wealth right now of almost too much.
I know
It's crazy.
I know it. It's just, you could go down that rabbit hole and just keep discovering more and more artists and how great their work is. It's just, yeah, it's staggering. Absolutely.
And does it feel that way to you when like when it comes to like, okay, this, I'll try to set this up the best way I can. For me, because everything is about my art. It's how I make a living. It's everything I do. It's basically all I think about for the most part. I mean, I'm just drawing and drawing and drawing and painting. And sometimes there's so much art, or I'll see one more caricature artist comes out of nowhere, or someone else, and I'm like, oh, another, like, we need another one. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many. Right. Does it feel that way with comedy too? Because there's, I think it's interesting because I almost feel like before all this COVID crap happened, comedy was going through a boom of where it just seemed like everybody was into comedy, and it was like the hot thing where like Netflix is putting out like special after special after special, and it just seems like there's comics popping up everywhere. Does it almost feel like, in a way, that was more of a, like, everyone's trying to be a comic now, including Jason Seiler?
I mean, it's always seemed that way to me. I think, just like with art, people are discovering their passions and they're pursuing it, and they're realizing that it's accessible to them, just like, with Photoshop now and all these digital tablets. I think it makes it a little less messy than getting paints, and more people are experimenting and finding that they have a talent for it. But with the stand-up, even like back in the 80s, it became oversaturated. There was comedy clubs started opening up everywhere, which is great. But then there was all these comedy shows, like Evening at the Improv, and all these stand-up shows where people, it wasn't a novelty anymore. And I think it became too oversaturated, and it adjusted for itself. People stopped going to clubs so much anymore, and it wasn't such a novelty thing. And then for a while, it kind of lay dormant in a sense, and then it started picking up again. I remember coming back from SNL or after doing Weeds, and the whole palette of comics, if you will, at the comedy clubs had changed now. Now you were seeing, it wasn't just the blacks and the Jews and the Italians doing stand-up. It was like Arabs and Indians and accountants and people that had other professions they left, and doctors, were doing stand-up. And I think there's always room for it, and I'm always trying to find somebody that really makes me excited. That's different. It's so hard to be different. Just like with artwork, there's a lot of good artists out there, but do you remember them? Do they really stand out in your head? When you go home, you say, "Oh, I saw this great comic or this great artist," because they had a distinct style, and that's what you look for. And I love seeing comics that are starting out that are have a lot of potential.
Do you have a hard time watching like Netflix specials and things like that, comedy?
I do. I hardly ever watch stand-up anymore, and it's hard for me, like when I do a spot at the Comedy Store, the Improv, to watch other comics on there. But during this quarantine, because I have a special coming up, I've forced myself to watch. I mean, it's been brutal, but I'll sit down. I say, okay, today I'm going to watch this special. I watch this one. I'm going to watch the Chappelle specials to see why everybody's. I know he's good, and I watch and I see and I compare and I'm watching, the production, shooting of it and what works best. So it's been really helpful for me. And so every day I try to watch like one or two specials, and it's been really helpful. It's just like, when I watched you do the Kanye West tutorial the other day, I thought that was so helpful just to sit down and watch that. It's good to do, but it's not something that I would do I would do that if I was a starting comic. I would watch every comic, which is what I did do. Yeah, that's how you learn. But then you want to break free of other people's influence, and you want to just have your own.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have I've been watching. Of course, I watch a lot of comedy specials, but there's a few. I mean, it seems like there's been so many lately that come out that I kind of have you got 5 minutes. And like I end up turning a lot of them off. There's a few that I mean, of course, like Chappelle, I like really love the last Chappelle, last Bill Burr was amazing. But there's a few that it's like, oh, I don't get it. And it's like, and I also don't want to be influenced too much because I'm trying to do it. So I don't want to, I don't want that feel. It's funny when you go to the open mics, you start seeing, you know, because it's different. Obviously, I'm going to like open mics, and just trying to get noticed in the little places in Chicago and get some laughs. But you can tell like some of these open mics are like, oh, that guy thinks he's Tom Segura. He's no Tom Segura. You can see like real like the influence.
But it's like what you said before. You know, like if I'm going to sit down and do a caricature of, say, Stan Lee, I won't want to look at anybody else's caricatures of him because I don't want to be influenced by that, you know? And it's the same with stand-up comedy now, you know, if somebody's doing a bit on emojis, I don't want to watch their bit on emojis because that, you know, might influence me, you know? I want to come up with my own fresh twist on it.
That's true.
And you know, you've seen everything you've basically seen on stage. You know, you see a young hot comic now doing a hunk on, you know, prejudice, and then you go to yourself, yeah, that's the same thing so-and-so did back in 1987.
Yeah.
You know, it's all kind of been done. It's just rehashing and different faces and.
Yeah, that's the hard thing, trying to have a new angle on it. Because
it's always the toughest. And again, it's like letting go. It's like letting go again. You know, just let your mind go and follow it and just be free with it. And that's kind of been the other thing now with, you know, with all of the politically correctness. It's you can't let go too much, you know, because you might get in trouble or lose your career. You know.
Yeah, I get this. For me, I get this feeling sometimes when I'm trying to do the comedy stuff where I have like this inside voice thinking like, you know, why are you doing this? Are you crazy? Like, why do you think anyone wants to hear anything that you have to say? Like, this is stupid. And I'll go through those moments where I'm like, oh, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? Like there's enough comics. And then I'll walk outside and I'll be doing something or I'll experience something. I'm like, oh, that's really funny. And I can't help it. And then I just start writing stuff down and I'm like, I like this. Like it, you know, I like it for me, you know?
Yeah.
So but I find that the comedy stuff is like a real mental warfare a lot for me, like trying to, cause I'm so aware of myself and I'm so aware of, you know, what I think other people think. You know,
I know it's like you don't quite trust it yet. It's like with your artwork, you know it's good and you know what works, you know what people like. With the comedy, because you're kind of new at it, you're a little bit insecure and not trusting of it. So and also you're trying to feel your way around it. Yeah. So it's just a matter of putting in the time and doing it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of comedy stuff, are you ready to see if any of these comedians can make Kevin laugh?
Sure.
Okay, so let's start with this first one here. This first one is by Alex Joyce, and
by the way, I don't typically laugh a lot. I appreciate things and I get it, and I like to kind of look at the inner workings of it. Yeah. But my appreciation is my laugh.
Yeah. Well, you know, you don't have to make excuses for how terrible they are, Kevin.
I have a great courtesy laugh, though. I do have a good courtesy laugh.
Okay. All right. So,
Kevin Nealon, I'm a huge fan. You're a great person. I love you. Jason, I love you too. Here's a joke for you. I went to college at the University of Alabama. If you don't know, it's an academic powerhouse. Here's what I learned. Freshman year of college, my roommate was from Dusseldorf, Germany. Super nice guy, but with his German accent, whenever he asked me questions, I felt like I was being interrogated by a Nazi. Like one time he was digging around the refrigerator, said he was thirsty, he's just digging around. And he turns to me and says, I can't find the orange juice. I can't find the grape juice. So why don't you tell me where you're hiding the juice? I said, no. No, Dieter, no. Germans, and naked ladies.
I love that. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I like that the powerhouse, academic powerhouse, was the first thing that got me going.
The academic powerhouse.
But I love that kind of setup because it's like he explains it and then he acts it out.
Yeah.
Which is great because it's very fulfilling for an audience, to be taken on that tour.
Yeah. No, it's a fun one, man. As soon as he said, do you have any orange juice? I was like, I know where this is going. This is by Patrick Truer, who was I was doing open mics with him and the last guy here in Chicago, but Patrick is now in Colorado he left during all this stuff to do comedy out there. So
Kevin and Jason, thanks for this opportunity. Kevin, looked up to you for a long time. Jason, can't wait to perform with you in the future, man. All right, whoo, here we go. Okay, first of all, I'm aware that I look like Barbra Streisand and Will Ferrell had a one-night entanglement and then birthed the 38-year-old man boy the next day who's still going through puberty. It's true, at least the puberty part, okay? I can't grow facial hair. What I can grow is eyebrow hair, though. Get a good look at these. I shaved them this morning. They've already grown back. They grow faster than Usain Bolt runs a 100-meter dash, all right? And I hate it because I've always wanted to have like a cool beard, but I can't grow it, right? I want to have a cool beard like a Navy SEAL on a special ops tour through the Middle East. Instead, I have two baby seals on my forehead and I'm on some kind of weird carnival tour through the Midwest. Oh well, this is what I get. Here we go. We're off to the races. You're probably thinking about now, boy, this guy's got the nervous energy of a kid who went to camp for 10 years and is now camp counselor for the first time. Yep, that's correct. Also, only child. Not surprised I can talk to a camera by myself for so long. Woo! And we're going to the races. Listen, here's some surprising news. I have a girlfriend. Yup. Beautiful, smart, incredibly kind, best human being I've ever met. Way out of my league. And she has me. All right, now, there's a couple times in our relationship that I do feel bad for her, which is hard to feel bad for someone who's so great. But here's a situation. Last week, we had the conversation, the celebrity list conversation. Who would you do business with, right? Top of her list, Matthew McConaughey. All right. Great choice. Great selection, right? But that's not going to happen. So instead, she has me. I look like Matthew McConaughey's underdeveloped brother who just swallowed a beehive. All right? Fantastic. That's what she got. Listen, I want to tell you a little bit more, and then I'm going to get out of here. We moved in together. We moved into a new place, okay? And when we moved into the new place, we went shopping. We bought a Roomba, one of those fun little vacuums that goes all around by itself. We got an air fryer, and we got a juice machine, which, if you already know, that completes our master's certificate in being white. And if you don't know, a master's certificate in being white is a 20% off coupon from Bed Bath & Beyond, framed in a frame that you bought from Bed Bath & Beyond. Woo! Fantastic. All right, that's my time. Jason, I can't wait to see you. Come out to Colorado. I'm working on getting some live shows going. I just did one. It's a lot of fun. Kevin, I would love to go hiking with you, man. I'm here in Breckenridge. I'll drive to California. I've been fireproofing my car. I'll get out there, no problem. You too. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Hope I made you laugh. Pat Truer here, signing out.
That's a can-do guy right there.
Yeah.
He's up for anything. I like the energy. He's got some good bits. He reminds me, you could tell he was influenced by, I'm trying to remember the comic's name now, but he's that real kind of like, here we go now, here we go. Yeah, here we go.
That's funny. This next one is by Tim Spike Davis. Okay. And he's the guy that had the big beard that I told you about.
Regardless of what you may think, I am not homeless. That is, unless you are a person who likes to give money to the homeless. Now, I imagine being homeless is a total drag, but looking homeless has some perks. You have to download apps like LinkedIn and PayPal. I get offered jobs and money just walking down the street. A few months back, I was coming home from work, walking back to my apartment, and I noticed a church had set some tables up and were feeding the homeless. As I walked by, a young girl lifted up a bowl of soup to me and said, "Sir, we have a hot meal for you." I stopped and looked at her and said, "That is so sweet. Now I'm going to go up to my house, and I'm going to go see what my wife made for dinner. And if it's the same crap she tried to push on me last night, I'll be right back."
That's good. That's good. See, there's a lot of good, there's comics everywhere. I think, the whole profession of comedy has kind of evolved where people know how to mine it now. They know how to deliver it.
Yeah. Oh. Well, and again, the internet, like there's so much that you can,
Yeah.
I mean, you can almost just go to school alone in your art studio.
Yeah.
And just study things. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Like when a 10-year-old knows how to, shred a guitar.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, got it. The kid's been on YouTube for the last 3 years. Doesn't surprise me.
And everything's there. Like it is pretty crazy. So this next one is by Vinayak Pal.
Hi, my name is Vinayak Pal. I'm a comic in Los Angeles, California. This is my submission to Face the Truth podcast. So I was in my last relationship. I was in it for 2.5 years, and in the last 1.5 years, it wasn't going so well. Like, the girl wasn't really supporting me. She once said, "Vin, I don't support you being a stand-up comedian," and I was like, "Wow, I don't support you being a bitch." And I'm not gonna say that I was the best boyfriend ever, but I did make her feel special a lot of the time. There's this one time I took a Greyhound bus from Boston to Toronto just to see her. And, it was a 16-hour ride, and 16 hours on a Greyhound changes a man. Like, I was hanging out with the Amish, and I liked it. I remember I turned around once, and I saw this Amish guy staring at me. I was like, wow, this Amish guy's probably never seen a brown guy before. But then I realized, wait, he's looking at me, seeing him, and, staring at him. He must be like, wow, this brown guy's probably never seen an Amish guy before. Yeah. Now, fast forward later in the relationship, she took me to a mall for a date, and she sat me down and she said, "Vin, you're 90% of the man I want." I'm like, oh, wow, 90%. Damn, I'm a fucking A. That's awesome. And then she was like, "But I'm breaking up with you." I'm like, what? Yeah, you're not my full 100%. I'm like, wow, you broke up with me using a reason that sounds like a compliment? That's like if I went up to a lady, I was like, "You're the woman of my dreams." But only in my dreams, because in reality, you suck. I feel like if my ex were to hear that joke, she'd be like, "That's not the full truth, Vin." I'm like, "You're right. It's only 90% of it."
When you got to do math equations to get a joke, it's a little challenging.
I'm terrible at math, so it's never a problem for me.
But always a good subject though. Relationships, everybody can relate to that.
Oh, for sure. So this next one is by Bob East. He goes by Beast.
Hey Kevin, how you doing? I've been playing a lot of golf lately. I'm pretty good. I want to get better though. I want to be able to hit my drives way out there like the pros, So, been practicing. What I did was I went to take some golf lessons from a pro. So I asked him, is it my takeaway? Is it my follow through? Or my balance? So he looks at my swing, he analyzes it. He says, "Okay, I see what the problem is. At the top of your backswing, don't be an old fat guy. That's where you're losing all your power. You seem to lose a lot on that." So many bad golfers too, I like when the 30 handicap terrible golfers try to teach their buddies how to golf, It's like they go out every weekend, they're like, "This is terrible." Come out every weekend, it's hot, it's miserable, I play like crap, horrible game. "Hey, Bill, why don't you come with me next time? I'll show you how to play."
I like his delivery.
That's like what it would be like if someone took me golfing. Like, true story, my brother is an amazing golfer. Yeah, he's really good. And he's a very competitive person, and he takes it very seriously. His wife is also a very good golfer. And a few years back, they took me golfing, and it was I was mad the whole time. First of all, I had to wear this really stupid shirt with the collar and everything, and I felt like an idiot the whole time. And then I was so bad that people had to keep playing through us because I could hit the ball really far, but in the completely opposite direction. Yeah. And I kept trying to do it. And my brother's like, just put another one down. Don't worry. Just put another one down. And then I got so mad. I got to the point where I was almost going to smash the iron into the ground. And his wife's like, Jace, listen, not everybody can draw as good as you. Okay, this is just not everybody. Yeah,
most people, but not everybody.
I knew she was trying to give me a compliment, but yeah. So this next one is by Paul Kales.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, this has been a crazy year. And the older you get, you're always looking to the past of something better. You know, and a lot of people want to rag on the millenniums, but the truth is, I like them because they make me feel nostalgic about the past. Last time I saw that many beards on pussies was like the 70s. Now, I know you think, oh, you're just looking back and I'm jealous because it's third time. No, my whole back is a beard. I don't need to put it on my face. If I take off my shirt, I hear the B word, I hear the S word, Bigfoot, Sasquatch. In fact, I mean, the truth is, I haven't told a lot of people this, but I went to the beach the other day and I took off my shirt and I woke up in a net with tranquilizer darts. And the Department of Fish and Wildlife is taking selfies. The next day I get a call from George Lucas. Hey, we're thinking about a new storyline in Star Wars. We want to follow Chewbacca's dad. I said, listen, man, I'm not that old yet. So, on the advice of a friend, I said, go get Manscaped. So I go to the west side, and I thought, it's a little untouchable. It's a very gay area, so I go in there, and the guy says, all right, let me see it. So I pull down my pants. And he goes, what the hell is that? I said, you don't know what that is? I mean, that's part of this whole deal over here. So I turn around, he goes, hey, dude, I got to be honest with you. We do manscaping, not landscaping.
All right, so I know you got to get going soon. I think there's like one more left. One more comic sent in.
I think all these guys have good potential. You know, they're all hitting in areas that could be interesting.
Yeah.
I love the German, the Nazi roommate.
Oh yeah. No, that was a good one. Do you have time for two more?
Yeah.
Before we go? Okay. I don't want to like kill you here. So this one is by TJ Veith.
Yo, want a good shirt, you know what I mean? Ghislaine Maxwell, huh? Yeah, arrested by the FBI. This cocky conspiratorial criminal is a moron. Yeah, she's an idiot. The feds knew where she was hiding the whole time. They said, and I quote, she slithered to a mansion where she hid out. They discovered 3 passports in that house. Yeah, and she had told somebody in confidence that she had procured a pilot's license, among other things, and that Epstein had bought her a helicopter. Now, you would think with all of these resources to make a great escape, she would have, well, made a great escape. Instead, she was raided and arrested in New Hampshire. New Hampshire? Should have went to Old Hampshire. What the fuck are you thinking? How overconfident can one mousy-looking, pedo-peddling wicked witch be? Epstein was found dead in a mass security cell where he didn't kill himself from suicide. Let that sink in. I mean, hiding in the States wasn't smart. It was actually just lazy. She didn't even make the U.S. put the extra in extradite. In fact, she was in the USA where they just regular old indicted her ass. I mean, the only place dumber she could have hid was actually on Epstein's island. Now, we all know Epstein famously was found hung in his jail cell by his orange jumpsuit, where he was murdered by self-asphyxiation. So the courts ordered Ghislaine a special paper jumpsuit. She about to be the first person in history to die from a paper cut. Seriously though, the elites of the world associated with this procurer of underage pussy should be worried. Like they always say, if it looks like a mouse, slithers like a snake, it's a rat. And guys, it is a rat. Dude, she is about to spill the juicy details on what all these scoundrels are doing behind palace doors. And I got the popcorn and I'm waiting. But if they really want this woman dead in a jail cell, all they gotta do is dress her up like Carol Baskin and put her in a cell with Joe Exotic. It's chess, guys, not checkers, and that shit is checkmate. Seriously though, in the time of quarantine, Tiger King, and rioting, we could all use a laugh. A bug has everybody acting batty, and we're so worried about getting sick that we're actually getting cabin fever. We're all losing our marbles, our money, and our freedoms. Yeah, guys, our American rights are slowly being taken from us. Did you know that Congress passed a bill in the beginning of quarantine where they can legally look at your Google search history? Google it. I dare you. But seriously though, people are losing their minds. They think masks are a form of brainwashing. If masks are mind control, what the hell did condoms do? No, seriously, I'm asking. I don't know because I don't use them. And I don't think Jason does either because he just had his 4th kid. Congrats, buddy. Again. That's it for me. Kevin, thanks for enduring all of these. You know, we can't do open mics because, well, they're closed. And Jason, as always, thanks for lending the platform and giving the opportunities. You two rock. Appreciate you guys. Take care.
Nice. Got some good ideas there.
I like the paper cut.
First person to die of a paper cut ever. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was.
I guess if you had a paper cut on your wrist, you could die, right?
Yeah, that have to be one serious. I mean, that would take a while, right?
I don't think you can make a paper cut on purpose. They always have to happen accidentally.
That's true. It is always.
You probably couldn't do it.
And you're usually like, huh, what's that? You look and there's like a little, oh, what is that? Yeah. Yeah. There could be something there. All right, this is one last one. I just remember too that someone sent me a caricature of you, even though I wasn't doing caricatures this time. So I'll email that to you so you can see it.
Okay, cool.
So this is the last one. This is by Bill Bagos.
Actually, I don't need that today. That's true. I just want to say, hey, Kevin. Hi, Jason. Or hi, Jason. Hi, Kevin. Whichever way you guys prefer today. My name's Bill Bagos. So I want to say a couple things today. First of all, thank you so much for giving me a reason to put on a shirt today. Tomorrow, hopefully, pants. I don't even have that much to say. I do want to tell you, if you've never had the pleasure before, yesterday I had the most glorious day. I was able to put on a freshly laundered robe that was hung on a clothesline outside and air dried. It is so soft and it smells so fresh. And I truly appreciate my neighbors keeping up on their laundry. The key is you want to get out early. Better pickings. Try to pick a yard without a dog. So, okay? Take that home to you. All right. Thank you. Oh, wait. One more thing real quick. I heard you're a vegetarian, Kevin. So this is just between me and you. Jason can listen or not. It's up to him. The reason I do this stuff now, I got fired from my job because I was a vegan. My mic just was falling. I got fired from my job, as I said, because I was a vegan. I was kind of demanding. I demanded an increase in my salary, so they let me go. They didn't have it in the budget. And the writing was on the wall. I remember the year before, clearly. Everybody else got cash bonuses during the holidays, and all I got was radish roasts and parsley. And my boss explained to me, Bill, we're garnishing your wages. I don't think that was fair. So now that my mic fell, you know what? We're just doing this on one take. We're not doing this again. That's it. That's the way it's going to be. Just want to thank you right now. Again, I'm kind of a big shot, too. See that? So I got one of these new Apple Watches. I don't know much about the technology, but the fall, late summer editions are the best. Get the Apple Care plan. You can eat it all the way down. Get a new one. Thanks. Bye.
He sounds like a funny guy. You know what I mean? He's got a funny personality.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's it. Thank you for sitting through that. It's like putting you through an open mic, like going back to the open mic days.
That is true. That is true. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Jason. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah.
And, also, thanks for all of your advice and steering me in the right direction with art.
No, of course, any day, man. It's my pleasure. Again, thanks for coming on, and Kevin's got to get going, but thanks again. And remember your show. It's the September the 12th.
Yeah, live stream comedy show September 12th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. East Coast time. It's on. You get your tickets on rushtix.com, rushtix.com. And my opener will be Brad Paisley.
That's awesome. And when everything starts clearing up, I'm sure you're going to be doing hiking with Kevin again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And we're actually trying to sell the show right now to a network as more of like a curb type of a feel to it.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a great idea. If you need any special sound effects, you can call me.
Crunch.
Yeah. Okay. So thanks again, everybody, for checking out this episode. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, Kevin. And we'll talk to you all later.
Okay. Bye, Jason.
See you, man.
You want answers? The truth shall set you free. I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.